All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to this explainer, serving as our ultimate end-of-course review of a fantastic 10-part tutorial called IPv6 Security, Vulnerabilities, Misconfigurations, and Mitigations. This comes to us from Virtualization Options LLC, which is a Colorado-based technology research, education, and advisory organization. Now, if you're a network engineer or a cybersecurity pro and you know IPv4 like the back of your hand, but IPv6 still feels, well, a bit like the Wild West, this is exactly where you need to be. We're going to distill down the absolutely critical takeaways from all 10 chapters of the course, just to get you up to speed on this entirely new threat landscape.
To keep things moving, we'll hit 4 main areas today. 1. The invisible reality of IPv6. 2. The core protocol differences. 3. Addressing and OS vulnerabilities. And 4. Real-world mitigations and best practices. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's get into it.
Kicking things off at Section 1, the invisible reality.
We really have to start with Chapter 1's massive wake-up call, because you need to completely shatter the illusion that IPv6 is just some future problem you can ignore. The terrifying reality is that IPv6 is running right now on your network. It's actually enabled by default on Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, you name it. So even if your org hasn't officially deployed it, your devices are actively speaking it. And what does that mean? It means you have a completely unmanaged, totally invisible attack surface running directly parallel to your highly tuned IPv4 setup. 2 protocols running literally means 2 entirely separate attack surfaces.
Chapter 2 of the course nails this with a great thesis. Lowest maturity equals highest risk. Think about it. Your highly mature million-dollar IPv4 defenses, they are totally blind to this new protocol. Security disasters usually happen in networks that are just starting with IPv6, precisely because administrator inexperience and tooling immaturity are at their absolute worst. Simply put, if you don't understand the protocol, you can't secure it.
Moving right along to Section 2, Protocol Differences Create Risk.
What's really fascinating from Chapter 3 is how the fundamental architectural shifts between v4 and v6 create totally new classes of risk. It is definitely not just a longer IP address, it's a completely different rulebook. In our IPv4 world, we rely so heavily on NAT as this sort of pseudo-firewall to hide our internal topologies, and we routinely block ICMP at the perimeter. But look at the IPv6 reality. By design, there's no NAT. Every single device gets a globally routable address. Plus, you absolutely cannot block ICMPv6 without breaking your routing entirely. Core functions like PathMTU discovery and neighbor discovery literally depend on it. So attackers suddenly have a much clearer, unimpeded path straight to your endpoints.
Which brings us to Section 3, Addressing and OS Vulnerabilities.
Let's dive into Chapters 4 through 8, which dissects exactly how attackers exploit these new mechanics. Notice how shockingly simple an attack can be under these new rules. Because the Slack protocol blindly trusts any router advertisement by default, with zero authentication, an attacker can just waltz right in. Step 1, the host accepts a forged router advertisement. Step 2, the host automatically updates its gateway and just starts routing all its traffic directly to the attacker. Step 3, the attacker easily executes a man-in-the-middle intercept, reading or modifying your traffic without anyone even noticing.
If you're an IPv4 veteran, Chapter 5 makes this super relatable. Just like you'd use DHCP snooping to stop a rogue DHCP server in IPv4, you're facing the exact same conceptual threat in IPv6 with forged RAs or rogue DHCP v6 servers. The fix here is that you must explicitly deploy RA-Guard and DHCP v6 shield on your switches. You have to restrict responses to trusted ports only. If you skip this, literally every client on your segment is sitting there, totally at risk of quietly receiving poisoned network configurations.
Next up, Chapter 6 introduces us to the Neighbor Discovery Protocol, or NDP. Honestly, just think of NDP as ARP on steroids. It has a significantly broader scope than standard ARP spoofing, and it uses multiple message types with absolutely no built-in authentication. It just assumes everybody on the local link is a trusted friend. A single forged message here doesn't just mess with your address resolution, it can completely break routing, gateway selection, and even duplicate address detection. It can literally take down your entire local environment.
And we definitely can't ignore the legacy tunneling risks from Chapter 7. Attackers can completely bypass your incredibly expensive, robust IPv4 perimeter firewalls by smuggling malicious traffic through automatic tunneling protocols. We're talking 6to4, ISETAP, and Teredo. Teredo is especially wild. It literally tunnels IPv6 inside UDP just to punch a hole right through your IPv4 net. You've got to explicitly disable these protocols on your endpoints unless you absolutely need them, and make sure you're blocking Protocol 41 at your perimeter.
Getting down to the actual packet level in Chapter 8, we hit extension headers. These are super flexible IPv6 headers that attackers absolutely love to chain together. Why? To evade your firewall inspections and bypass security controls completely. A classic example is routing header type 0. Even though the powers that be deprecated it way back in 2007, a lot of older or misconfigured legacy devices will still process it. So you have to audit your perimeter devices and make absolutely sure they're dropping these dangerous legacy headers. Jumping up to the OS level in Chapter 9, the course highlights this incredibly frustrating real-world CVE in Docker. In certain recent versions, containers were actually found to be communicating with each other over link local IPv6 addresses completely unintentionally. And get this, it happened even when the IPv6 flag was explicitly set to false by the administrator. This totally bypassed internal firewall protections, which just proves that unintentional silent activation is a massive, massive threat. And you better believe this invisible attack surface extends right into the cloud. Up in AWS, Azure, and GCP, security groups maintain entirely separate rule sets for IPv4 and IPv6. What happens all the time is administrators will lock down the IPv4 rules perfectly, but just leave the IPv6 rules completely wide open by default. We see the exact same thing with Kubernetes pod-to-pod traffic using hidden IPv6 paths. Plus, a lot of EDR tools default to logging only IPv4 connections, meaning you're essentially flying blind.
Speaking of flying blind, Chapter 9 drops a true forensic nightmare on us. Link local traffic, that's anything in the FE80 range, is almost never logged by firewalls and SIEMs. Because incident response tools routinely just ignore this traffic altogether, a devastating NDP or RA spoofing attack could easily be executed right on your local network, and it wouldn't leave a single solitary trace in your logs.
So how do we actually fix this massive visibility gap? That brings us to our final section, mitigations and best practices.
Here is your critical action list from the 10th and final chapter. You need to implement these right away. First, start with a massive, comprehensive audit of all your network devices, container environments, and cloud security groups to find out their true IPv6 status. Do not just assume it's disabled. Next, block those tunnel protocols, specifically Protocol 41, right at your perimeter. Third, verify that your CMs and logging pipelines are actually ingesting IPv6 link local traffic. And finally, explicitly update your threat intel platforms and EDR tools to look for IPv6 address formats.
To cap off the course, we get this fantastic, sobering takeaway straight from the NSA. Ensure all network administrators have received proper IPv6 training and education before administering IPv6 networks, not after deployment. It hits the nail on the head. Fancy tooling alone will not save you if your team doesn't actually understand how the protocol works. You really need to mandate foundational IPv6-specific training for your network and security staff to close that knowledge gap. It has to be a prerequisite, not just something you do after things go wrong.
Which brings us to the absolute most important question you need to ask your team today. Is your network silently running vulnerable IPv6 traffic right now? Before you sit back and assume you are completely protected by your bulletproof IPv4 firewalls, take everything we've unpacked from this Virtualization Options LLC tutorial and go verify your network's true exposure. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and stay secure out there.